giving every child a voice. The educator's guide to recognize and support speech, language, and communication barriers in a classroom. So today we are looking at language barriers and speech delays. Speech and language are not isolated skills. They are complex systems that depend on multiple development domains to work together. The development domains include cognitive development, social development, emotional development, and physical development, hearing and auditory development, and then literacy. As an educator, we don't need to be speech therapists to make a difference by looking and following 3 steps that can help every child. By looking at the 3 steps, we are looking at recognize. We need to understand the barriers, learn the signs of language challenges, and what is the underlying factors. We also need to support the child. This will always be in-class support by using everyday routines and free play. And then lastly is collaboration. Always observe and refer. This is why we keep our observation notes and records. Speech delays happen when a child is slower than expected. They can only use a few words or struggle to form sentences. They will also struggle to pronounce words. This is when a child will use gestures or point. For example, 4-year-old Karabo will ask, "Can I get juice, please?" When the Karabo will say juice and point to the box. And then now we're looking at language delays. This is also known as language barriers. Language delays happen when a child struggles to understand or use a specific language in the classroom. This can make learning and communication more difficult for the child. Social interaction might be more challenging for the child. This is where they will struggle to use some of the words. They will also struggle to follow instructions. For example, Tommy, please put the book on the table. Then Tommy will look at you and he will repeat, book on table, but he will not follow the instruction. Dit mense wat kom en ek kan nie die goed kyk nie en ek kan nie sien wat aangaan nie. Ek kan nie net vir die skerm kyk nie. Ek wil dit so sien.
That's sure. You're seeing screens sharing that. Screen sharing.
Sorry about that, guys.
Leanne, can you make me admin? Then I'll be able to admit.
Yes, no problem. Let me just quickly see how to do it. I am not sure. That's why I just stop quickly. Oh. Can you see the screen if it's like this? Sophia, can you see the screen if it's like this?
I only see the presentation.
Yeah, then it's fine. As long as you just see the presentation, it's fine.
Okay.
All right, so I just want to know is there anyone with questions for me? You can just raise your hand or unmute yourself if you've got any questions of what you just worked through.
Hello, I cannot see the presentation.
All right, can you see it now?
Not yet.
Can you see it now?
Yes, I can see it now.
Oh, okay.
No problem. Thank you. Right. Identifying common communication barriers. We are looking at articulation problems. So with articulation problems, we can break it into four groups. So the first one is the substitution. Sorry, the first one is substitution. This is where a child will substitute one sound with a different sound. For example, a W instead of an R. So they will say rabbit instead of rabbit. And then the second category that we are looking at is omission. So omission is where a child will leave out sounds. For example, they will say nana instead of a banana. And then the third one we are looking at is distortion. This is where a child will have a lisp, or they will overpronounce a L or a R. So, for example, the sun will turn into thun, and then they will say that thun is styling. So they will usually struggle to pronounce the word. And then the last one that we are looking at is addition. Addition is where a child might add extra sounds or vowels. For example, spoon will then become spoon. To assess a child in any of these four categories that we looked at, we need to slow them down and let them pronounce the words with us. So you will take the child and you will say to the child, okay, let's pronounce spoon. It's spoon. And then you let them pronounce it with you. Then the second block, we are looking at stuttering. This is a speech fluency issue. This is where a child will repeat syllables, sometimes even prolong certain sounds, especially on vowels. So they won't say ice cream, but they will say ice cream, or they will say something. So they will drag out some of the sounds. This might worsen for a child when they feel under pressure or stress. So to assist them, we need to slow down the speech, control breathing, and support. And then the third and last block that we are looking at is voice disorder. Voice disorder can be a variety of causes. This can be genetic or overuse of the voice. This is where a child will have a very graspy voice. Sometimes they might speak softly or too unclear. So sometimes it's so unclear that you can't hear them or understand them. So I've got a question. Is there anyone with a child in their class that struggles with language barriers or a language delay? So if we do give scenarios out of the classroom, just remember we don't use the real names or mention the school's name. So you can always just use a different name as well. Sophia, if you can just pull out the names for me, please.
No problem. Let's ask Ayanda and Kosi. Ayanda, are you there? Okay, let's try Angel, Ladla. Angel, would you like to unmute yourself, please? Nope. No response. Kathy Bailey, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for responding. Leanne has a question for you.
Okay, so the question is there any child in your class that struggles with a language barrier or language delay? And why do you think so? So just remember that we can't use real names.
Yes, I think so with language barriers because a lot of the kids in my class are also so they haven't grown up speaking maybe English or Afrikaans. So they would speak Xhosa in the class. So if they maybe want to ask, maybe to go to the bathroom or to go do number two or they want water, they would come to me or the other teacher and they would ask us in Xhosa and then we wouldn't know what they are saying. Then at the creche, there is another Xhosa teacher. So we would sometimes have to go call her to understand what is being said because I know there was an incident where one of the kids wanted to go to the bathroom for a number two, and then he spoke to us in Xhosa, but I didn't understand what he was saying. And then by the time I went to go fetch the other teacher to come translate what he was saying, he put in his pants, and then he started crying. So I think it's a lot of Xhosa kids in our class. So I think the parents need to try to speak English with them so that they can speak English with us in the class because it's very difficult because I don't know any Xhosa. The other teacher, she knows very, very, very little. So it takes a lot of our time to go to the other teacher, to go call the other teacher the whole time. So I try and make out every time what they are trying to say. So I know now when they need to go to the bath or water or so I'm getting there slowly but surely. But language barrier is a big problem in our class.
So always just remember to encourage them to speak English, especially if you are English-based school. If that is the school's preferred language. So just always say, guys, we are speaking English. Say, I want to go to toilet. Rather help them to say it in a sentence. Don't really focus on sentence structure or any specific usage of words. Just let them say, can I please get water? Can I go to toilet? It doesn't even need to be, may I go to toilet? It just can be, you can just say, can I go to toilet? So always encourage them. And it's also a good way for them to learn if you are giving them a reward for it. For example, here's a star for you because you spoke English today. And you just give a star on the forehead or a star on the hand. So, okay. Right. So we are moving on to uncovering the underlying causes. To support a child struggling with language, we need to understand the following three categories. It's physical and sensory. This is, so with physical and sensory, it might be hearing loss or auditory problems, or it can be a neurodevelopment problem that is conditions like dyslexia, ADHD, autism, ADD, and so on. We will be looking at this over a couple of weeks. So I'm not going in depth on that today. And then the last one that we're looking at is environment. Factors like being multilingual, or it can be trauma or neglect. So if we look at physical and sensory problems, that is the hearing. We are basically referring to the ears and the sound of words and phonics. So from birth, a child learns the sound and speech and tone. Remember, hearing is the gateway to language. With hearing issues, the child might miss parts of words. So the type of hearings that we can get is conductive, that is caused by fluid or ear infection. Sensorineural hearing loss, that's a permanent inner ear damage. Auditory process problems, that is basically when the child struggles to make sense of the sound. So you can say something, they look at you, they hear what you're saying, but the brain struggles to make the sense of what you're saying. With auditory activities, you can help a child to learn the sounds of speech and words. So then we are looking at classroom signs and what to watch for. So children will frequently ask what, or excuse me. when they say her, it's not because they are disrespectful. They heard something, but they're not sure what. So they will turn around and they'll say her, just to make sure that I hear something or someone speaking to me. Is it my friend calling me? Is it the teacher calling me? They will always turn one ear towards sound. They will not respond to their name. So you can call them and they will not respond at all. They speak too loud or too soft. So I've actually got a slide that I added. So this is in class pictures that I'm using. It's very, very quick hand-drawn pictures, nothing fancy, nothing of the internet. I just laminated them. So the first block, we use the big pictures in the first block with the green. We usually use these as cards for sentences. It's also our verbs. Our verbs, our doing words. So this is everything that we can do. And then the smaller ones we use for playing games. We can match them. We can make sentences with them. And then the bottom ones, the green and pink ones, at the bottom is words that fit together. So, for example, a fish and a fishing rod, brooms, a bucket, and a mop. So that is also to help them identifying the things that fits together. And then this is just a quick short video of one of the learners in my class. I got permission from the mother to share it with you. She's only 5 years old, but she can clearly identify any phonics, words, and identifying pictures by only using these small, very easy drawings. And then this is just another game that we are playing in class. They need to find two cards that fits together. For example, this girl, she told me she wants to match two cards. So she ended up matching thunder and rain just by searching for the cards on the floor. So with using these cards, you are helping the child to listen. So it is part of the auditory discrimination. It's life skills, it's recognizing pictures and phonics, and then it's also improving vocab. If we are looking at the neurodevelopment courses, we are looking at a condition that they are born with. But we will go into this in our next class. We are looking at dyslexia for our next class, but I'm just quickly going to give you a short explanation of what it is. So neurodevelopment causes are conditions that can affect the brain. With this, we must look at why cognitive development are important, why cognitive development why we need to improvise it into our classrooms, because cognitive development is the way that we are thinking, learning, understanding, remembering, solving a problem, socializing, or even express our feelings or emotions. So you can just take 2 minutes and just quickly read through the two different autism and then ADHD on the screen. I'm just going to give you 2 minutes to read through it. Okay, and then the next one that we are looking at is environmental factors. This is trauma and neglect. This can have a massive impact on a child's speech development. Trauma affects the brain and the emotional well-being. Look for signs like withdrawal or struggling to focus in class. The child will completely move away from other learners and play alone. To assist this sort of behavior, we need to create a safe classroom where a child can express themselves and feel safe without feeling that they are getting judged or looked at in a funny way. The other thing that we are looking at is neglect. With neglect, I don't even know where to start with this. In some cases, it's very bad, especially if you see it in the classrooms when it's children coming from foster homes. What those children went through in their life, and they are so young, it's heartbreaking. So it is a lack of early stimulation, so they don't have any early childhood stimulation. They don't get enough interaction. They've got limited vocabs, and sometimes they struggle to even have social interaction with other students in the class. With this, we need to encourage them verbally. We need to make sure that they try to speak. So we need to be consistent in this way. Not just with language, because with neglect, this child might also struggle with gross and fine motor skills, so they won't be able to run, they won't be able to hold a pencil or cut. Sometimes they can even have problems walking, and by walking, I mean walking with flat feet on the ground. They will walk tippy toes, they will have a club foot. So that's also signs of neglect. If you know the child's backstory, you do get children that's born with club feet, but it can also be caused because the child did not get the exercise that was needed when you were smaller. So I just want to know, Sophia, do you have any questions for the students?
No questions at this time, thanks.
All right, is there anyone that's got questions for me? All right, and then we are looking at multilingual. So multilingual refers to speaking more than 2 languages. To be multilingual is not a disorder, it's a superpower. This is really something that we've got in our classrooms, like Kathy mentioned earlier on. They come from home and then they speak the language that they speak at home, so they speak the home languages at school, and then our schools is then English. So here we need to encourage this child to speak English. Like I mentioned earlier on as well, give a child a star if he did trust. So I just quickly want to cover this as well. It's the 4 chord support matrix. So this is where your visual aids comes in handy, the chords that I showed you earlier on. So it's chords, it's gestures, it's pictures. It can be anything. You can use emotion chords, you can use internet pictures. So this can basically be anything. And you can ask them to build sentences, to tell your story, to complete a story. So you will start with one child and you will say, okay, let's start. I've got an elephant. And then will say, okay, once upon a time, there was an elephant. The name was, let's say, Egg. Then you point to the second child, and then that child will go on and you will fill in that story. That also goes hand in hand with repetition. So with repetition, we need to repeat and repeat. We need to repeat multiple words multiple times of the day. We can also use a story, for example, Goldilocks, and then you cover the story over a couple of weeks. You are looking at words and meanings. So you choose, like, let's say 3 words for the week. You are focusing on the 3 words, the pronunciation of the 3 words, and the understanding of what those 3 words mean. You can talk about the characters in the story. You can talk about even opposites. Just to cover extra language, you can say, okay, so Goldilocks found the cabin in the woods. She saw that the door was unlocked. Then you ask them, what is the opposite of unlocked? If they are at the age between 4 and 6, they usually cover in the curriculum, they usually cover the opposite. So then they will tell you that locked is the opposite of unlocked, and unlocked is the opposite of locked. Then we are looking at consistent routines. This, we need to have this structure in every class. We can't have a classroom that is chaotic. At the end, we will not be able to teach if it is chaotic. So we need to have greeting songs, cleanup songs, rhymes. We can even cover a cleanup story in this routine. And then we're looking at modeling. Modeling, I love modeling. I honestly love modeling. I use it in my own class on a daily basis. This is to show them the action, not just by showing them an example, by teaching them. This is the way we wash our hands. Show them. If you've got a strong learner in your class, call that learner and tell them, come show them how to wash your hands. Come show them how do we write the letter B. Show them how do we pack the books. So modeling is a very good way of teaching. So it demonstrates and provides clear examples. It helps the child to understand and to connect the words to the actions. And yeah, so I've got a question. So I want to know from one of the students, in your classroom, what is the best way to approach a child that made a mistake? So Sophia, if you can just call out a name for us again, please.
I'm going to ask Dion. Dion, are you with us? If you can just unmute yourself, Dion. While we wait for Dion to unmute, let's see if Lisejo can answer us. Lisejo Bohatswe. Lisejo, can you beat Dion? Let's see. Go for it. Unmute yourself, please. This is a very shy class tonight, Leanne.
I see that.
Okay. Valerie, let's see if we get any luck with Valerie. Valerie Bele, are you there? Please unmute yourself. Hi, Valerie. I'm gonna send you a duck slab of chocolate just for unmuting yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Then you can go ahead.
Okay, so the question is, what is the best way to approach a child that made a mistake in your classroom? How would you approach it? Say, for example, it was a language mistake. They pronounced something wrong, or the sentence was upside down. For example, they said, toilet my eye. How would you fix that? How would you approach that child? Valerie, are you still with us?
Valerie, you are muted. If you can just unmute yourself, please. Okay, let's ask Ida Maslangu. Ida, would you like to answer the question and get that big chocolate? Oh, Dion,
Hi,
welcome. Hoe gaan dit beste
thank
dag?
you. Yes, um, I was trying to find the unmute button. Sorry.
Okay. You can go ahead and answer the question.
Okay. So I would then just tell the child that it's okay if you made it.
I'm not picking up anything. Leanna, can you hear her?
No, I've only heard I will, and then she cut off.
Dion, can you try again, please, love?
Okay. Hi, sorry. I was trying to quiet everybody down. Sorry. So I would say that I
Let's move
would
on to the next slide.
I will repeat. Oh,
No, Leanne,
Someone is on the
oh,
call here.
Dion is speaking. She's answering
oh.
the question.
Right?
I would just repeat what the child has to say correctly with the child and just let the child know. Not even mentioning it, I think just in a kind manner, just repeat the sentence in the correct manner and then let the child repeat after me.
Excellent. I think that goes hand in hand with what Leanne said about modeling the correct
Yes,
behavior. Yeah, instead of saying, "Oh my goodness, you made a mistake," blah, 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 blah. Just
yes,
say, "Please repeat after me. This is how we should actually say it. You did a very good try, but I need you to repeat after teacher." Okay. Excellent
yeah.
answer. Well done, Dion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, I lost network there for a second.
You can go ahead, Leanne.
Okay, so if we're looking at correcting with compassion, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Sophia, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Sophia?
Can anybody else answer Leanne? I don't think she can hear me.
Sophia, can you hear me?
Odwa, are you there?
I can hear you.
I can hear you as well.
Can you hear me?
I think the the fault is from Leanne's side. She can't hear us. Maybe Odwa, you want to send a message and just tell her to log out and log in again?
Okay, correcting with compassion. This is basically where we need to build confidence. Confidence is just as important as building vocab. Don't rush them. Give them time to answer. Don't correct them. Model. Sorry, can you hear me? Hi, guys.
Yes, we can hear you.
You can.
Okay. Let me just read. Okay, sorry guys, I've got internet issues. So what I was trying to say is we need to model the correct way. Don't focus on grammar, expand on the sentences. So focus on the sentences. Instead of telling them you must say, may I have juice, just say, can I have juice? Can I please get the toy? It doesn't always need to be the correct way. As long as you understand what they are saying and what they're trying to say, that is good enough. When they go through school, the schools will actually adjust the language on that level of the child. For now, as an early childhood developer or a teacher, an early childhood teacher, we need to just get them to speak English. Then we're looking at a classroom playbook, language building activities. So this is we need to talk all the time. We need to link words to actions. The action and the movement games. Connect words with actions, gross motor skills, like for example, jump, everyone jump, jump, everyone clap, clap, everyone run, run, everyone sit, sit. So we need to repeat some of the words so they understand what we are saying. Then we're looking at picture naming and story time. This is where your small flashcards comes in handy. We need to ask questions. For example, you are holding a picture of a snail. You ask them, so listen class, I've got a picture in my hand. I'm going to show you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You turn the picture, you just swipe the picture across the classroom and you close the picture again. And you ask them, what is the picture? What is on the picture? Some children will know that it's a snail, but other children will say it's a snake, it's a rabbit, some will even say a cow because they did not know. So by doing a small game like that, you are developing not just language, you are developing focus. You are helping that child to understand what you're saying. You are helping that child to learn new words. And then lastly, one of my favorites is pretend playing. We are doing the theme transport. And you now need to set up a pretend play for the day. So what I did is last year when I did transport, I used small equipment that was lying around my house, like a very old telephone. I took one of the steering wheels off one of these one bicycle, I don't know what you call it, these one wheel cars that the children was driving with the one wheel. So I took off the steering wheel from there and I built on a cardboard, I built like an aeroplane, like a pretend dashboard for we are flying. So I created big pictures and then we colored the pictures blue. We made the clouds blue, the sky was white, and we set up chairs in 2 rows and I made number cards. So to get onto the airplane, you need to read the numbers for me that's on that number card. So it was random numbers like 22, 19, 5, and 6. So if you can't read the numbers, you can't get onto the plane. Then you must go back to the back in the row and you need to go figure out what is that numbers before you come back. So we made fake money to buy the tickets. We had a fake computer. We had a fake cell phone that was ringing. So this all helps with language development, creative play. It helps the child to focus with the fake money that you are using and the flying cards, that also helps with number recognition. So it sets a variety of things that they're developing on, and you are just looking at it as play. But we need to look into things more deeper to understand why we are doing it. And then we're looking at another classroom playbook, but this is to let the children interact. So children learn best when they can communicate with each other. To help with language, storytelling, it's a good idea. Each child takes a card, make a sentence, or add a sentence. Or you can do a show and tell. So bring something from your house, your favorite teddy bear, your favorite soccer ball, anything else, bring it with, and then we do a show and tell. So you come with your item, you explain to me why that item is important to you, you share it with your friends, and we can just have a fun show and tell day. And then play. Play is a great way to socialize or pair up children. Give them blocks and let them build a house. So tell, maybe put them in groups of 3. Tell them, okay, group A, you are building a house. Group B, you are building an airplane. Group C, you are building a mall. And then afterwards, let everyone come and share the stories and the experiences. Let them even come, or let them even show the blocks that they use to build the house. And you can ask them, how many blue blocks did you use? How many green blocks did you use? Where is your mall's entry? Where's the door? How many floors is there? It also expands on life skills. So with life skills, everyone just thinks it's based on themes. But life skills, it's all over. It's in your daily plan, basically. If you give that child a picture of a tree and you ask them, give me the colors that you can see, and they say, okay, I see a brown trunk and green leaves, and I see some small green sticks sticking out of the tree. That is them learning life skills by expanding and looking at a tree differently. So next time when they go play outside and they see a tree, they will say, oh, my teacher said the leaves are green, but these leaves are turning orange, or they are already brown. Let me go show my teacher. So you teach them to acknowledge as well. And then this is confidence building. It is through games. So I've created a drive. I will just share the drive tomorrow morning. So on the drive, you will get these pictures that I showed you, the ones that I drew. It will also be on the drive. I compiled some extra resources that is also available on the drive. And then the second middle block, the emotions. The emotion part is also under today's presentation on the drive. So I can say it, guys. This is where children take turns of saying new words. Celebrate each and every attempt. So you can let them sit in a circle and say, okay, we are practicing new words today. Let's start. And you can just go around and they can just say random words. And you can even ask them, explain to me, what does that mean? And then you can actually see if they've got understanding of the word and how to use it. And then the feeling faces. I feel sad today. Then they can pick up the emoji, or you can use paper plates and make emotion boards or plates on a stick. And you can let them come and choose the emotion. And they can tell you, I am feeling angry today because Karabo took my ball. I am feeling happy today because I want to be at school. And then this is one of my favorites. I usually do it in my class as well. We need to complement each other. So the compliment chain. We need to keep it. We need to keep it positive. So I usually tell them, tell your friend something nice today. Then they will say, you are pretty, you are beautiful, you are smart, you look very nice in that dress. So with this, it also helps them to socialize. It helps them to express emotions and then help them to socialize with the group. Is there anyone with questions for me? Okay, so we are finishing up now. I just added this two last slides. We did cover this in a previous lesson. It is the observation in the ECD center. So if there's anyone that needs to go back and just rewatch the video, you can just ask me, then I can just send the link as well to the YouTube where you can find the previous class if you maybe missed it. But you can just read through this one and then the next slide. This is just basically how to observe a child and how to keep record, especially when it comes to important things like diverse learning, diverse needs, language delays or language barriers. We need to keep notes on these things to share. If it comes to a point where the mother wants to take the child to a speech therapist, then you can always send your notes with them so the therapist can see how you try to improve the child's language or the child's pronunciation or even the sentence building. So then they can also help the child based off what they are reading from your side. So I don't know if there's anyone with questions for me. We've got about 5 minutes to answer questions. Or you can give me an example what happened in your classroom if you need advice.
I think everybody's tired. They're waiting for school to close the end.
All right, no problem. Let's call it a night. Thank you guys for joining the classroom. I hope to see you at the next one as well. Like I said, we will be covering ADHD and ADD. I think that is a broad spectrum, especially in the ECD centers. So yeah, you must enjoy the rest of your night and thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Adu.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Good night.